penultimate round of the Hawk Optics British Mini Rifle Championship. Championship standings are still all to play for. John, what's going on?
Well, I think it's a little bit generous to say to play for. Jim Starley is doing very well. I think it will be very hard for him not to win the championship again as the defending champion. Ben Ducker is pushing him hard, but the drop score they're allowed, taking into account this round, I think it would be surprising for me if Jim doesn't win the overall championship. But things can go differently. In the senior category, it's a bit closer. You've got Lee Hopgood, a relatively new shooter, is challenging very well in terms of the senior category. There's a few there with him as well. And a new shooter category, that's quite tight as well, with 3 or 4 people all leading for it. But we've got 2 rounds to go, so it'll be interesting to see what will happen when they start dropping scores at the end of the season.
And we've got 7 new stages ahead of us, including some new targets. So let's jump into the action.
Okay, so here are the overall championship standings as we enter round 5. Jim Starley, as we said, on top of the championship. Ben Ducker, Tom Ellaway and Kelvin Leeton. Tom and Kelvin are the ones to look out for. Lee Hopgood obviously leading the senior category.
Yeah, I think Dave is close. I think if he has a good run and Lee has a bad run, I think you could swap those round, but it does require some alignment of the planets for that to happen. And Paul van der Bosch, obviously, very much taken a super senior, but it belies his experience much more.
Stage 1, nice simple stage from first of all. Our metal plates 25 metres, which they shot before in other competitions, but this time we've got some no-shoots in front of them. So they've got to move around the range to make sure to shoot them all. I think when they clip some no-shoots as they go through these things, they'll be too concentrated on speed without making sure they don't hit those ones.
From here they look relatively easy to miss or hit.
You know, everyone hated this stage, and it amuses me to know that, but you rarely put no-shoots in front of plates, because obviously a round goes through the no-shoot, so which is what the trick is. And again, you could actually shoot them all without moving too much, but it was getting close to the plate, the no-shoot. And then just clipping the no-shoot counts a 10-point penalty. So in this short stage, it will murder your score. So it's sensible just to do it as quickly as you can, avoid them. But we had a couple of lots of no-shoots, which I was surprised. I thought it wasn't that difficult, but obviously speed. And 25 metres away, it's something that astonishes them. This is David Hill. I haven't seen David Hill today. So David again is quite a new shooter, but he was a member here. He's not anymore, but he knows his plates.
And they seem to have found a certain spot where they can see all of the plates and not hit the red targets. I'm not too sure whether that's true or not, but they're certainly hitting the plates.
Yeah, we've made them start in the middle, so they have to move. But the question of where they move to, and what you'll find is they've made a mental note where to stand. They can shoot them. You're going to say you can see them hit the no-shoot now, aren't you?
I'm having a look.
Well, that was James Thomas. Again, another good new shooter. He's come on leaps and bounds as well, so good to see him shooting. And Dave Sammons. Let's see who gets on gun-wise. It's always been, if the gun works, he shoots well.
Iron straight away.
You see, he has shot some from that position, rather than taking them all from another position. So again, a different way of shooting it.
If you finish the live show clear.
I think that'll show in the time though. I think it'll be a bit,
Yeah,
slower.
it will be slow. Obviously, 2 shot positions means you're going to gain 4 or 5 seconds in terms of positioning.
Yes, rapid fire, Ben.
Yep, he does like the plates.
So he's done the same as Dave.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because that was nicely shot, but would it have been better to do what Jim did and go to one position?
We'll find out at the end. But here's Steve Durant.
Yeah, I'm calling up Steve there. It's a trail start. That's Steve for you. He can't take an instruction, can he? Yeah, trail start means the arm must be straight. So having your arm bent like he had there, I pulled him up for. He's technically not ready. Gave me old so-and-so, Steve.
Yeah, so 3 down, and then move.
That seems to be the trick. That did shoot well, on the fact he's gamey start.
I'm surprised he doesn't get disqualified from more events, to be honest.
The good about that is Steve, he does it with such good nature. It's all for advantage, but he does it in a good nature, which is good.
There's one of the banana clips.
Yes, it's a Ruger. A Ruger wasn't very popular for practical shooting, but as you can see, the magazine changes are not as easy as compared to an AR or a Vector. So it is something to actually consider. They're still shot. It's still a very accurate gun and very reliable, but that magazine change does make it more complicated to do.
There's Jack Nichols. fairly well in round 4, didn't he, Jack?
He did, yeah. Again, I think that relies on his armed forces training. He seems keen to... You're done, mate. You can stop now.
Give me something else to shoot at, quickly.
Yeah, well, it's typical army, isn't it, really? I've got all them. Where's the next guys? But he's keeping safe. Look, the muzzle's safe condition. It's all good.
Okay, so here are the stakes for stage 1. Lee Hopgood taking the win in the senior category and overall and Jack Nicholls there, that was a good run. Jim Starley took all the plates from one position. Ben Ducker didn't, and you can see the difference, can't you?
I kind of think Jim is shooting for percentages now, just to make sure. But then Nick Towndra again down 12th, Dan Starnes 14th, very good, and then Gary was all shoot again 16th. You've got a few new names as well.
Tom Davis ahead of Vian.
Yeah, okay, so there the conversation home in the car again is going to be.
As Laurie Boyle gets a results page all to himself.
Yes, so yeah, I think a tough stage.
Prone shooting, or shooting lying down, prone to give its proper term. It's again reasonably common in mini rifle, and certainly longer distance shooting becomes more common because it really is one of the most stable shooting positions in terms of a longer distance type stuff. And also, if you've got barriers you have to shoot underneath, it may be the only way of doing it. Now we're going to cover how we plan a course of fire later on in the series. But really for prone shooting, because it takes so long to get down and to get up, especially someone old like me, you try and do it at the end of the course of fire, not midway through, because you save the time. So if a course of fire will require some prone shooting and some not, you're best off finishing off with the prone shooting if you can. Secondly, prone shooting also lends itself very well to bipod shooting, which we'll cover in a second. And bipods are both good and bad, but it's something you can use. But the main thing about prone shooting is it's a very good chance of being disqualified because you lack the control over your muzzle. So a couple to consider is, what do you do with a gun? And also when you finish shooting, what do you do afterwards? Okay, so what I'm going to do is a little couple of practice of fire. I'm going to basically go down, I'm going to shoot a normal prone position, and then I'm going to do what's called reverse prone. Now reverse prone, a normal prone shooting is standing longitudinally, lying longitudinally target. So I'm on the floor and I'm shooting at the target in the direction. Reverse prone is when I'm lying sideways and I'm shooting sideways on. Now, the reason why it's quite a useful thing to learn is that in this example I've got two targets right in front of me. Lends itself well to prone shooting because I don't have to manoeuvre the muzzle too far. Reverse prone is useful, and we did it in the competition this year, where I have targets at a 90-degree angle from each other. If you imagine shooting lying down, shuffling around to one and shuffling around to the other is very time consuming. So reverse prone shooting allows me to sweep more in terms of target process when you see it. Very specific need, okay?
Stage 2, the same metal plates, or rather the other set of metal plates, with two different nose shoot targets, but this time we're spicing it up. They have to shoot them all with their weak shoulder. So this will be one where if they get comfortable quickly, they'll get a good time. If they start looking for the targets, so they're not sure, they're going to end up clipping a nose shoot.
So no need to change mag, depending on how accurate you are, I suppose, but
Are you ready?
starting off with the weak shoulder, Matt's going to put it on his right.
You know, watching it too, I can see how you look at the stages and then you think you're an evil sod for doing it. Okay, I do get that, but it is simply to challenge the shooters. That I have no mean body in me for it. You can see the patches on those nose shoots. That's where people have clipped them. This was a tough stage again with a weak shoulder shoot because it takes longer to get set up. Now Nick is a very experienced shooter. I'm expecting good things this one.
So onto his left shoulder, where that first sighting bullet goes.
And again, you see we made the start position unloaded start. So again, there's something else to make things complicated and difficult for them to do. Again, and Nick did the right thing, load everything with your strong hand, got used to doing, then move to your weak shoulder.
You can see all of those patches on the red targets.
Are you ready?
Tom?
Stand by.
Yeah, I think it comes to the classic thing of you probably need a mag belt, the mag holder in it rather than your pocket. Yep. He realised straight away. Yep, straight away.
What's that 10-point penalty? Is it for
10-point
for every shot?
Per shot fired. Yeah. So I think if he's not last, I'll be impressed. But he realised straight away he done it. But that's what I love about these stages. Sometimes we do make it interesting. But I'm not evil. I'm really not.
You've got to push them. You've got to challenge them.
Yeah, the whole idea of practical shooting is a challenge. That's what it's for, and it's a challenge to the brain as well. It's not just being about shoot fast or shoot very accurately. It's all a combination of things.
There's Jim, very accurate no matter which shoulder he uses.
He does practice weak shoulder shooting. He knows it's part of the game, so especially here. That shot well, I think. He'd be happy.
So here are the results for stage 2. Ben Ducker taking the win ahead of Lee Hopgood, Dave Hill, David Dawson. That's a new top 10. I've not seen that before.
Yeah, well, David Hill did well for the new shooter. Lee also shoots the plates a lot here, being a member here. Jim, I think, is definitely shooting potentially. He's basically slowing himself down to make sure nothing bad happens, which is sensible to get in his position. And Jack Nichols looked quick, but obviously wasn't as good as we thought. So I think obviously a few no-shoots been hit there. That's the issue.
Yeah, Bean Davis rounding out 21. So this is what's coming up after the break. Got plenty of action. Some rapid fire by Ben Ducker.
After keeping them stationary for the first 2 stages, stage 3 gets them moving a little bit. So we've got a start position back here. They've got 3 paper targets tucked between 2 barriers there they'll have to shoot first. Then they've got to run up the stage. They have 2 metal plate targets, 6 more paper targets, and right at the end, our favourite, 5 little yellow balls.
So a mixture of everything here. John, Steve Durant up first. Let's see how we can get on.
Nice stage. Just a mixture of papers, plates, and little balls.
A bit erratic there with those circular targets. Straight down with the poppers. Alpha, Alpha Charlie.
Oh, he'll be great.
You can clearly see that. You may notice the golf buggy in the background. We'll be using that a bit later on.
I got a bit of this hot brass down the back of my shirt there, yeah.
It's quite painful when that happens.
It is, yeah. Well, it's coming out like 800 degrees. It's, you don't want it in your skin very long.
And here's James Thomas. Alpha Charlie. Papa Charlie.
It's good shooting here from James. Very deliberate.
That's the quickest though. Those balls. If you don't get them right in the centre, they just sit there spinning.
Yeah, it's got, they're fun, those things. I love them. Gary? Again, unloaded start doesn't help the Ruger owners, I'm afraid.
I topped up a couple of times. They're easier from a close distance, aren't they, those toppers?
Pretty much, yeah. Hitting anywhere, they should fall over. I can calibrate them so that they have to be right at the very top, but I'm not that mean.
And onto the last few targets, the balls.
That's unfortunate. Oh, nicely done.
Dealt with them, didn't he? Here's Dan Starnes. Not the quickest, but very deliberate and very accurate. Few Charlies there.
That last one was a bit of a pig, wasn't it, really? But it was nice shooting from Dan. Lee Hot got up.
And running away with the senior category.
Very good. Yeah, he's come on leaps and bounds on his regular shooter.
Very light on his feet, isn't he?
What are you trying to say? What, for a big man?
I was going to say that's what you said.
He'll be the first to accept that, I think. He's not going to win the dart competition, just face it. Well, then neither am I, so.
That's very good with the balls there.
Moving on to Jim Starley. Did he hit the second one?
No, he could hit the
Oh,
first
I
one.
was
from
going to say,
over
yeah, so
there.
he's gone to there. Okay, again, different way of shooting it. I'm not sure he got to shoot it, or just that was a plan. I'm not sure.
I don't think he was very accurate on those first targets, though, so it'll be interesting to see his results.
He's happy with the balls.
Jim Staley second place, Nick Townlow taking the win, and Lee Hopgood in third. So the
Seniors taking over, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they
Really?
are,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oldies taking over. And Jack Nicholls again, very good. And Matt Cox again. He had a couple of rough rounds of late. That's a nice shooting from him. And Steve Durrant did all right as well.
Dave Salmons was 10th as well, so we had 3 of the seniors in the top 10.
I didn't deliberately make it a senior stage. I really didn't.
Martin Patrick 11th, Gary Kaplan and David Dawson. Jeremy Duran, he's a new one this round out.
Yes, he's come out the last round on this one. So we've got some new shooters coming on. It's always good to see.
I shoot a vector, slightly different. I can rest the gun on the magazine to give me a better stable position, a better, more stable shooting position. You cannot do it on an AR platform. Okay, it doesn't matter what make. It could be Lantat, it could be Smith & Wesson, it could be Battle Arms. I guarantee you lean on the magazine, it will force the magazine forward and you'll jam the gun. Vector doesn't have that problem, so it's easier. All right, so we're going to do a couple of normal, then a couple in reverse. All right. Now, most of the time you get the problem of being disqualified is when you finish shooting and the command comes in, unload and show clear. There is nothing wrong, if you're lying on the floor, of putting the gun on safe and then benching the gun, put it on the floor. Then I can stand up and I can then go back to the gun and retrieve it to unload it. The reason why you do that is because sometimes getting out with a gun, muzzles everywhere across the board. As long as the safety goes on, and as long as the gun remains within a metre of you, you can't walk away, you're perfectly entitled to do so. It's a safe way of picking up the gun after a prone course of fire. However, always a good idea to tell the RO you're going to do that. Okay? Let's try again. Other way, of course. Keep the muzzle down range, finger off safe, finger off the trigger. Same thing applies. I can unload it and show clear again. Okay, now we'll do reverse prone. I'm going to do 2 rounds, different directions to show how easier it is. So if I do one as reverse prone, then try and do the same prone, you'll see a difference how fast it can be. So as you can see, with reverse prone, I can swing around the course of fire and I can get nicely on the target. Stage 4, and this is the first time our competitors will have seen our new aim right targets. Now there's 2 bobbers here. What happens is that, very decently, the shooter will sit on the back of a golf buggy. The range officer will drive the golf buggy away from the targets. As it drives away, it'll activate 2 bobbing targets, which they have to shoot on the move, along with other paper targets as they go. Once they hit a certain point, they must stop shooting by shouting stop. Different kind of stage this one, shooting on the move and on a bouncy buggy, should make it interesting for all of them. In your hands, fine.
Okay, so this is something completely different. Has this ever been done before in your range?
They've done anywhere, I think.
Are you ready?
Nobody's crazy enough to do it.
The main thing about it is that the muzzle is kept in a safe direction because it's definitely a different kind of shoot.
Dan Ducker taking offence.
If you finish,
You know, it's difficult now to score this, it really is. Whatever it is, if it's done by round 5, Ben's going to win every time, I think.
Yeah, there's not much time there to sight the targets, is there?
Yeah, it's a tough stage, and I reckon there'll be a lot of zeros, if not most zeros. But it was fun to do, and I think everyone enjoyed shooting it because it's not the sort of thing you're going to see very often. You can see the aim right targets as they're very consistent.
I've no idea if he hit anything there. I don't think anybody did.
I think there's a lot of zeros this one. Like I said, it was one as it was stages towards the end of the competition. You want to have something fun. and for sure that no one's ever shot this kind of thing before. And I'm pretty sure they don't train for it in the Marines either. Down there.
Get back. You've got to get back where you are.
I think we'll just sit back and let the audience enjoy this, to be honest.
It's kind of hard to commentate, isn't it, really? Certainly, Jim's got a long shooting history in the family, but I don't know how you train to shoot off a buggy off a moving target.
I think he engaged the bobbers before it actually started rising.
He did, yeah. He will be penalised for that. But like I said, I think Jim's pretty locked in for this championship. So.
Let's hit a few of those.
Again, they've had to wait for that time to activate. I think he shot that very well. It seemed very deliberate.
Shooter, are you ready?
It's Richard Paul. Again, new shooter. Has been in and out. He's had back injuries most of this year, so he's missed a few rounds. I think he decided to get back.
I think this one is shot off as quick as you can.
It's just a mad stage, and it was fun to do. And it was one of the few stages that after the competition, the range crew all shot just for the fun of it. It was.
Are you ready?
That wasn't video, thankfully. Now again with the mag change with a Ruger, I think Gary's for this one. I think he's picking his targets, but I think he hit what you picked.
Okay, shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
There's another new shooter joining us. Going in the buggy.
straight in there. So this is
Picking the tags. I think they've realised that there's no way of hitting both of those poppers. I'm just moving on to the stationary targets.
This wasn't a stage we had a huge amount of practice on, to be fair, so we're not entirely sure.
I think it's time there, a bit too much time.
I don't. Well, I'm going to predict there's an awful lot of zeros coming up for the stage of this score of this one. So now Laurie will just enjoy this, I think.
Depends how long it takes to get his mag in.
Come on, Laurie, shoot.
Good effort, Laurie.
You know, I asked him about the stage. He said that's the silliest thing he's ever done.
Well, we've got another few stages over on the 100 metre range after the break. We'll also have the golf buggy in the next round in a slightly different stage.
Are you ready?
Stand by.
So here's Nick Towndrow on the buggy.
Now Nick has been shooting for 20 odd years. He said to me after the stage, he said, I've never ever had to shoot a rifle from the back of a golf buggy. So I'm proud of that.
I did well there.
Are you ready? Stand by.
Taking down one of the targets. So this is another new shooter here at Silicon Shooting Centre.
This is Phil.
Filled with a Ruger.
Again, not easy stage Ruger. Now even Steve can't change his plans on this one, I'm sure.
There's no way of cheating. I don't know what to do. Where is it?
Stop. Okay, unload, show clear.
So how do you manage the rounds fired after?
They wouldn't score, so you can see from the timer counts it, you can pick up from there. So, I mean, there are a great many things about this stage I would change next time round, but it was still fun to shoot.
I shouldn't break, should I? Unload, show clear. Shooter, are you ready?
Neil Wheeler, again, new shooter coming into this is going to be a bit of a baptism of fire.
I can see his laser.
Yes, he said he's going to use laser on this one, so I'm not sure it's a good idea or bad idea, but it seemed to go alright. He's got most of them.
Stop.
That's quite impressive by Neil.
Right, scores. Wow, only 3 people. Lee did so well. Look at that. He actually got a stage win. And Ben with his thousands of rounds out there. And Jim managed to get in there just about. But everybody else zeroed it. Sorry.
It's accuracy by volume with Ben.
Even that, all those people who zeroed it, every single person came up to you and said, you know, that was just great fun to shoot that.
At least Laurie Boyle wasn't at the bottom of the table.
No, he wasn't. No, I don't think he actually pulled a trigger, did he?
That was a great stage.
It was good fun. I don't know.
Okay, welcome to stage 5. Slightly different start position this one. They're going to be facing the wrong direction, but also the gun must be pointed down range. So they can get a bit of a fuddle and have to turn round to get the gun the right direction. Good chop opportunity here to get disqualified if they don't get that right, so that's going to be quite careful. Then they've got a nice simple stage. All you've got is micro targets either side, some hidden behind barrels, and some hidden behind covers here. A little bit of movement, a lot of sideways, should be a quick stage for them.
That's certainly a simpler stage.
Yeah, no golf buggy.
Yeah, hopefully we won't see so many zeros. Up first is Ben Ducker. Guarantee he won't score a 0.
Happy?
Ben likes his stages.
Are you ready?
Short, nice fast firing. It's his favourite thing, I think.
Robin Alphas so far, John. You can see that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just Ben was just making sure the last shot was fired before he stepped out of the shooting area, so it's quite usually there. Now, if I'm right and Jim is shooting for percentages, he's going to be nice
Jason,
and
are you ready?
here and try and alpha
Stand
all.
by.
Let's find out.
If you're going to wait, you will call that out by watching, surely.
Alpha Charlie. With a top up. All alphas, you can clearly see.
Yeah, I'm so glad it was over.
Right. Shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
There's Gary.
He's someone else I spoke to that as a new student of practical shooting has had a whale of a time. Just say he said to me, wish I'd learned about this years ago. It's certainly a fun form of shooting. It's reinvigorated shooting for a lot of people who've just got bored of standard shooting, sitting down, something different.
Oh, just for the general public as well, because they had no idea that this kind of thing actually goes on in the UK.
Yeah, it's quite a big sport, you know. The various organisations have 4,000 or 5,000 members now, so it's not a small sport. It's also reasonably well hidden.
Stand by.
Down stance. Again, he's come on leaps and bounds as a new shooter.
You can tell the people who haven't quite prepared for the stage as they turn around and they're looking where the first target is that they're going to engage. You should be just turning around and going bang straight on it.
A reverse start stage is quite common. Again, it's to just destabilise the shooter before he starts off. It's all part of the process of practical shooting.
Oh, they didn't want that.
That seemed pretty solid though.
Shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
He's always cheerful, isn't he? Give him credit for that.
Always a smile on his face, especially when he's got a gun in his hand. Round so far.
He's only a few rounds in there that he didn't need to, but maybe he wasn't sure where we're going. So. No, you see him hit the barrel. You could hear that, so that wouldn't score. The round will go straight through the barrel, but it would come off at an angle, so you miss the target.
So here are the results for stage 5. It was Ben Ducker taking the win ahead of Jim Starley. We kind of expected that, but it was Nick Townsend in third.
Yeah, because they Nick did very well in third place, and then Lee again in fourth, so a couple of seniors up on the top again. And again, quite close between Ben and Jim. I think, again, Jim is shooting percentages.
David Salmons was in the top 10 as well, so we've had the seniors in the top 10 for a couple of stages so far.
And then Neil Wheeler would be happy with that, 18th, quite good position. And Dan Starnes 11th, again, good shooting from a new shooter.
Shooting with your opposite hand, so weak shoulder shooting as it's called. Now, traditional IPSC regulations dictate that you cannot
demand the competitor uses their weak hand to shoot. Okay, you can demand it goes weak shoulder, but you can't say weak-handed. So I'm going to tell you two aspects in terms of whether it's traditional IPSC shooting or a bit more open-minded. Certainly in the UK, you'll normally will find some course of fire where you have to shoot weak-handed, so your other hand. Now, what I'm going to do in this little course of fire is I'm going to shoot 2 rounds one-handed and 2 the other, in the 2 different ways of doing it. And there are 2 ways of shooting weak-handed. One is more traditional, I shoot left-handed, so I will simply turn around and I will shoot other hand, which is very straightforward. But also what I'm going to do is shoot weak-shouldered, but not change my shooting hand. So in this example, I'll shoot one way, then I'll literally rotate the shoulder, but still use my left hand. Okay, it needs practice this. I've seen a few people try it without practice and they get all over the place. The difficulties you've got is A, how you manoeuvre the gun from one hand to the other. Now again, different for a Vector and AR, but it all depends your hands are placed. So if I want to go from my strong hand, left, to my weak hand, right, I would need to literally remember my maneuverability. So in this case for a Vector, I'll bring it across with one hand and I'll shoot with that hand. If I have to change hands, I've got the whole way. I've got to move this hand to here. So on that basis, my movement will go forward to get the gun, bring my hand back, and then shoot it, which is slower. Same thing applies to right-handed shooters and vice versa. Okay, so I'm going to shoot both ways. I'm going to shoot 2 and then change hands. Then I'm going to shoot and change shoulders. So I'm going to go normal left-handed. And this time I'm going to go weak-shouldered. Out of ammo. So you see it's quicker, but I'm wearing a big thick coat. It's catching on my coat. Again, refers to the idea of making sure that you're shooting in a reasonably thin t-shirt as a process.
Stage 6, little lateral movement on this stage. They have a start position from a fixed position in the middle of the stage. Then they've got to move from one side of the range to the other. You've got some micro targets just tucked down here about 20 meters away. Then they've got to go back across the stage to another set of micro targets about 23 meters away. Then 2 sets of targets hidden behind barrels at about 30 and 35 meters away. They should test out some of their accuracy.
Are you ready? Stand by. Accuracy and speed.
Nick Townder up. Again, I think he'll be good in this one.
A bit more than 6 rounds fired then, wasn't there?
I think, yeah, I'm going to say, I think he's only shooting a non-magnified dot, and Nick doesn't have the eyes of an eagle anymore. So I'm wondering whether he might struggle a bit here with the longer distance targets. Certainly, I used to shoot a red dot at 100 metres when I was younger, but now I can't go more than about 25, 30 metres without really needing optics and magnification. Like I said, one of the things about shooting is that eyesight is a crucial part, and it is a degrading asset as we get older. I don't think he was happy with that. I think he's wondering where they went. Dan Stans, his nice young eyeball, should be fine with this one.
That's a trail arm, is it?
That's trail, yeah. So it's a stronger hand. He's a right-handed shooter. It's a weak hand trail. So it's the other hand. So no, he's lefty. I'll take it back. Strong hand trail. So he's shooting a magnified scope there. So he no doubt was dialed in for the longer distance stuff. And just knowing your holdover, for example, if it's zeroed at 25 meters, you'll need to adjust the scope to take into account that targets that are near that 10 meters and obviously further away at 35 meters. That seemed pretty quick though.
They'll look a bit unsure of themselves because they can't quite see what they're shooting there, can they? Especially when you put the tyres behind them.
It is, again, quite deliberate. We've got lots of different distances there. There's no backstop. They can check where the rounds are going. And so, yeah, it's a confident shoot. Let's put it across the stage, though, Lee. Let's say, obviously, nimble. That's quick mag change, too. Nice and neat.
Is he using his red dot there and canting it to his red dot?
I
rather
would
than using his
imagine, yes.
scope?
He'll use the red dot. You tend to, on a canted position, will have it zeroed to the nearer target, and then you just go for further distance.
Seemed relatively quick.
Quick one.
So welcome back, we're still on stage 6. This is Mark Lloyd taking on the targets. Oh, starting off on the right this time. First time we've seen that, isn't it?
Yeah, go either way, there's no right or wrong way. Whichever suits the shooter.
He's using his magnifying scope. The thing is, you can't see the targets behind that barrel from here.
That's true, yes, it might have to move around a little bit more.
Seems to be taking his time.
Shooter, are you ready?
This is Phil.
Check your ears. Good. Happy. Stand by.
See how he gets on. We're going to the right as well. I think this is a different group, wasn't it? So the first person who took this stage must have gone to the right.
It is, sometimes it's that. The shooters watch the other shooters shoot and they'll suddenly go, I'm going to do it differently now. So it does make a bit of difference.
Not in any hurry here, is he?
He doesn't seem that way, no.
Okay, here are the results for stage 6. Jim Starley taking the overall win, quite a way ahead of Ben Ducker. I'm getting sick of the sight of those two there, but Gary Capon, he's in third. He's going to be happy with that, and then Lee Hopgood
Did very well that, but Gary and Lee both shot there very well, so I think he'll be quite pleased with that.
And then who else have we got? James Thomas 11th, David Hill, Matt Cox.
Again, look at Nick with that unmagnified red dot. I think that was always going to be a tough one for him down there in terms of distance-wise. And Steve didn't do very well. Obviously, he didn't like that stage at all.
I would have thought Steve would have
Found a new way of shooting it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He did, not very well.
The wrong way, yeah.
Yeah, the wrong way.
Last stage of the day, another balancing act now on one of our stands here. And this is the second time we're going to see the aim right targets. It's quite a fun one, this one. You've got 5 metal plates at about 50 metres away. 3 of those plates set off 3 swinging targets with 2 targets each. And you'll see how the aim right targets work. They swing back and forth, they have to engage them when they're moving. We are going to see some misses on this stage, I'm sure.
So they can't wait for the swinger to stop and then engage them.
They can do, but it will take ages. So what they have to do is they hit the metal plate, which their Ben is about hitting out. That sets off the swinger, and then they've got to hit the swinger. So the trick is to hit all the plates first, then shoot at the target. And yes, it is as hard as it looks. So yeah, get all the plates done, and that leaves the swingers still. But you can still see now, 10 seconds later, they're still going like lunatics. So they're great targets, the aim right targets.
So you basically just aiming in the centre of the target and let it swing in and out and just fire as it swings in and out.
Correct. Yeah, you don't follow target round. You pick a zenith point that the target's going through, and as it swings through, your crosshairs let loose. And a lot of rounds will go in here, and there'll only be a few hits, I'm sure. Yeah, really fun stage this, I think, that everyone... It did freak a few people out, because you don't often get that many swinging targets at that kind of distance. And it worked really well. I'm really pleased with it. So get all the plates down, because they're not moving. And then probably mag change, and then rattle what you can to those ones. And you can see they're all swinging at different paces slightly. That's because the little arms that activate them are all different heights, so they'll give you their different levels of pendulum swing. So It does look like an evil stage, but it really is quite fun.
It's just, I'll just empty the rest of this magazine.
This is Tom, isn't it? Tom's having some fun with this one, I think. Yeah, bear in mind you only need it should only be what, a 25 round stage, what, 2, 4, 6, yeah, 18 round stage. I'm reckon 2 mags at least for into this just to make sure they went in. So, right, it's Dad. Let's see how Dad gets on. You see how the plate hits the wooden stake? That sets it off. It's quite simple, really. The cheer for that last play. I'm not sure if that was his son or somebody else. All the plates down, so it's good.
No, it just needs to...
They're shooting about 50 metres, so it's a reasonable distance.
That's a shame. Light strike.
We've seen this with both Tom and Vian. They just sometimes the guns just let them down wrong time. This is one where if you try and say that you can see the scores, I'm going to call you out again. There's no way on earth you can see what they're shooting there. And that's the problem, neither do they. They have to put rounds in and they hope they've got them all.
But the T round going to the one on the right there. That's the only one I've seen.
Yeah, okie dokie.
Are the red targets in play?
Yes, they are. And again, they're really primarily to stop people shooting them when the targets haven't been activated. So they shouldn't really be in play, although you can see some marks on them where someone shot them. They're there really to protect them. Technically, you can see the targets when they're stationary. So the reds are there to stop them doing it.
I think he's hit something there.
Mainly backstop, I think.
Yeah, mainly sand.
This will be again a baptism of fire from his only reason you competitor, and I'm putting them on swinging targets 50 metres. So.
Not a swinger ones he's struggling with.
It's quite a visually interesting stage, really, isn't it? Really, the moving targets. It's quite fun.
Not happy with these plates, is he, Neil?
No, struggling a little bit here. Again, they're sat on they're stood on a balance board, so they can't move from where they are. It's kind of hard to get their feet positions right, so it's quite an awkward shooting position.
Our target's nearly stationary.
That is the trick, of course. It's just to wait the 20 minutes till they all stop and then shoot them when they're stationary. But bear in mind, it's a sport that's about accuracy and speed. I don't think that's going to give a very good score. So Martin's good run. Good Martin's had a couple of bad comps of late, so hopefully get a good one for him.
I didn't actually shoot the plate.
He actually shot the wooden stake there. Now he needs to be careful because that plate isn't down. So yes, he's got it. There you go. So technically speaking, he'd still score on the papers, but he wouldn't score on the plate. So technically that's a range equipment failure, but it did work. He shot the stake. It's fine, so it counts. That's still pretty smooth. Hopefully it's good round.
Shoot, are you ready? Stand by.
Let's see what Jim can do. Down to him.
There you go. Different again. It goes. You can kneel on that block. It was just a big enough kneel. Not easy, but again, different completely.
Yeah, he's managed those plates very efficiently now. Just needs to hose down those swingers.
Well, once Jim's finished hosing down the swingers, we can go to the scores. I think he shot that very well. Yeah, no one else went on one knee. So, is David? He's got the plates nicely. Be professional. Oh, that's unlucky. He's got a light strike or a jam of some kind. I see a few more patches on those nose shoots, so obviously are getting shot.
Not quite in a position where they'd expect them to be shot either.
Yeah, it's bad shooting. There's two right at the top left-hand side, obviously, where someone's tried to get it a bit early. So, but again, at 50 metres, you know, a 1 inch swing of your barrel is about a 7 inch swing on where the target will go. So you're shooting accurately. But Jack Nichols takes a win that one. Very good shooting from Jack. Obviously, the British Army just practice on swinging targets at 50 metres.
So James Thomas, he'll be happy with second place, and Matt Cox.
Very good, yeah. Like I said, very good set result, different from 4 as well. So, and then would you have Steve Durrant a little bit further down? How did Tom and Vian do? Tom beat his dad again.
Yeah, well, here are the match results we're looking at. Jim Starley with the overall win ahead of Lee Hopgood. He'll be happy with that. But let's go back to the championship standings. It is still Jim ahead of Ben Ducker. Tom Melloway and Kelvin are still fairly close together. But down in the senior category, Lee Hopgood running away with it.
Yeah, the status quo has been maintained there between that. I think with the last round to go, a lot of the big classes have been done, but long one to go. So there's one drop score, remember, so it does make a difference the last round.
Yeah, so coming into the last round, we have plenty of new interesting stages ahead of us, so make sure you do tune in to see the buggy in action again.
Yes, it got silly again, didn't it?
If you finish the low show clear, I've got no bullets left. Yeah, flag in. Hang on.
Mate, we have to see.